to address the issues facing Tennesseans today. From 10 News, this is Inside Tennessee.
Good morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. Our guest this morning has served a number of positions. He's run for president twice. He also served as governor of the state of Tennessee, as the U.S. Secretary of Education. Should I add to that list? Yes. He also was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2002, and he has served on a number of committees that we'll get to momentarily. First, we welcome back to the broadcast U.S. Senator Lamar Alexander. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, John.
We're going to introduce our panel and then get to questions on the end there. Democrat Don Bosch, nice to have you with us.
Good morning, John.
Runs his own law firm in town. Susan Richardson Williams is a Republican, also used to work for Senator Alexander for a number of years.
Long time ago.
It's true.
And it's nice to have John North, my colleague, with me as well from WBIR.
Good morning.
Good morning. Senator, you spent some time in the Smokies, as you love to do. You were born in Maryville. And let's start with policy. We'll get to politics a little bit later, but this policy position of yours of attacking the backlog of billions of dollars of need in our national parks, the Smokies being one of them, the most visited national park. What do you say to viewers about this legislation and where it goes from here?
Well, let's say what we're talking about. I went with the Secretary of Interior to the Look Rock Campground. Now that's up on Chilhowie Mountain. It's about 2,300 feet. If it's open, about 5,100 people can camp there during the year. 15,000 go up there for lunch. It's right on the Foothills Parkway. You'll have a chance to see this new section of the parkway. It's been closed because we don't have money to fix the roof and the water treatment facilities there. It's true all over the country. It would take hundreds of millions of dollars to fix the mall in Washington, D.C. That's one of the 417 national parks things. So what we propose to do with the President's support and bipartisan support is take some of the money that we use from royalties from energy exploration on federal land. Now these aren't national park lands, these are federal lands, and use it to pay the deferred maintenance backlog of the parks. The Smokies has $215 million of deferred maintenance.
And across the country, it's billions of dollars, and your plan calls for ending that in about a decade. Is that realistic? Is it possible based on the amount of money that the government can bring in from those projects on federal lands?
It's possible. The Congressional Budget Office estimates $7 billion of the $11.6 billion could be done in 10 years. But if you think about it, that would be the biggest support for our national park system in several decades.
So, Senator, let's talk specifically about that then. The Secretary of Interior, Secretary Zinke, is someone who frankly does not seem suited well for the job that he has been appointed to, and that may not make him unique in this cabinet, but he has been a climate change denier. He has claimed to be a geologist when he's not. We have a president who has not supported environmental projects like you have, and I commend you for that, because that's one of the things that my party has usually been impressed with you about. How are you going to reconcile this administration, their changes, and this secretary in accomplishing what you're talking about? Because I'm not sure what you're saying I'm hearing coming out of the White House and out of the Secretary of Interior.
Well, I think differently of Secretary Zinke than that. He grew up at the edge of the Glacier National Park, just like I grew up, and many of us did, at the edge of the Smokies. So he loves the outdoors. Very strong advocate for public lands. But let's say what you said about him is true. If the President and Secretary Zinke say, let's take up to $11.6 billion over the next 10 years and use it to restore and rebuild our 417 national parks, that's probably something we should all get behind.
Would you support fees for the parks?
Oh, I do support fees for the park,
and
not for the Smokies, not the Smokies, because it's against the law. I mean, the Smokies is the only national park that was given to the country. And part of the deal was there can't be a fee. Now, we're really hurt by that because the annual appropriation here is $20 million. It's about the same as Yellowstone, the western parks, but they get another $20 million from fees. So all our volunteers, others help make the difference.
And the difference in visitors is astronomical. They get 3 to 4 million where we get 11 million.
That's exactly right.
Senator, I want to move to another subject that was a recent failure of yours. because it was a bipartisan effort to reform health care. Where does that rank? You tried your darndest with Senator Murray to get that done, and it looked like it might have a chance to do what Republicans promised, repeal and reform Obamacare. It didn't happen.
Well, I'm very disappointed by it. This was not a repeal and replace of the whole Obamacare. This was a temporary fix that would say to people who, let's take a contractor who makes $60,000 who's paying $15,000 or $20,000 for his or her insurance. This would say we can cut your insurance premium 40% over 3 years. That's what the Oliver Wyman experts said. And I thought we had it worked out. And the truth is, and I'm working with people that usually I can get a result with, the Democrats came along and said we're not going to vote for the Hyde Compromise language, which is the federal law that is a compromise on how you spend money for abortions. Federal funds can't be spent, state funds can. They voted for it for 100 other programs in the same bill. They've been voting since '76, but they wouldn't vote for it for this, and that killed the bill.
And is health care reform in any form dead for the next year or foreseeable future?
I think the answer is yes, because if the Democrats have that attitude on not applying the Hyde Amendment to health insurance, even though they apply it to every other thing, I don't see how we can get a result. So I'm spending my time on other health care issues, on the opioids epidemic, on electronic health care records, which is a mess, on drug prices, other things.
We're going to get to those. Susan will lead us off in the next block. We've got to take a quick break here on Inside Tennessee. We're back with Senator Lamar Alexander right after this.